Looking to make a difference with your shopping? Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community Pay It Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all.
Born into a real fight wasn't right. Where can she dream here? Took a hold of her life, left at night.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Zach Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the PAC channels. What the heck are we doing on at 2:03 on a Friday afternoon? Good question. Simple answer. I want to thank Sean Winnington for allowing me to be part of his show for as long as I was. It was pretty much 2 years ago. I took over as a full-time producer, even though he kept giving my wife credit, because, he was twisted. I was the one doing the work. Me. But Sean has been given an offer, and he's decided to take that offer. He's going to go be an exotic dancer. Ugh. That's a horrifying thought. And it's not true. Sean has been given a radio show, and he is going to go that route, and he's going to give up podcasting, at least for a little bit. We will see what happens. We'll see how it goes. I just wish him the very best of luck. So we also had a very unique opportunity to where this morning I was able to talk to three of the most wonderful people I've been able to talk to in a while. And we're going to play these interviews, and I want to share them with you because each one of them has something very special. The first person you're going to meet today is Miss Angela Fowler. with real life access. In the spot prior to me going live, me coming on, you saw a little spot from Mr. Z, and he was talking about accessibility. Angela is a huge part of the People with Disabilities Act. She's very she's very involved. She even talks about getting involved in an upcoming fight against California. She also brings together a good point that people who design websites might want to listen to what she's saying and really take to mind when you go to build someone's website, because you are responsible for your own products. Okay, if somebody bakes a cake and it tastes like crap, it's damage on you. If you build a website and people can't see it, people can't access it because they're physically unable to, it's kind of on you. And her point about we take it out on the mom and pop individuals, and that's it. She's right on that, and that's pretty tough. And so her goal is to make sure that these website designers really take and have that thought that, what, we need to do a better job and make sure that people can see our work. So I am proud to introduce you to Angela Fowler of Real Life Access. Eventually. All right. Hey everybody, how's it going? Very pleased to introduce you to one of our brand new gold family members, giving partners, Angela Fowler, the founder of Real Life Access. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here. Good morning, everybody. It is bright and early, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, and we are raring to go.
Yeah, it's you people on Pacific time, that's a weird time zone. I'm all the way in Mountain time zone, so it's only 8:30. But
you're clear over there, huh?
Yeah. I'm clear over here. Yeah. So I'll tell you this. If it was 7:30 our time, I don't think we'd be recording this show. I was still sitting around just going, "Oh my God." But, Angela, why don't you do me a favor and tell us a little bit about Real Life Access?
Sure. So Real Life Access is an accessibility coaching and consulting company. Now, what the heck is accessibility anyway? You hear that word bandied about, and it's bandied about in the context of something that you need to do because the law says so. And while it certainly does, accessibility is a lot more than that. Accessibility is opening up your business to people with disabilities so that they can purchase your products and services. People with disabilities between the ages of 18 and 64 have a buying power collectively of like $500 million. That's a lot of money. And as a totally blind person, I can attest, we got money and we want to spend it just like everybody else, right? But if we can't use your website, we might get frustrated and go away and move on to a company that is more accessible. So I teach people how to make their business accessible. I give them practical, actionable steps ranging from things that you can do that don't cost you any money to things that you can do that maybe cost you a decent amount of money. But you get that money back in spades, right? You get, I think, I heard somewhere it's like a 9x return on your investment. If you spend money on accessibility. Now that's average. That's statistics are weird. But the point is, if you invest money in accessibility, it will pay for itself, and then some, and then some, and then some.
I think that makes so much sense, because if you tell a person who's full functioning that, hey, I'd like you to come into my store, and then they come to a place where there's no door, they're not going to get in.
It's
And
kind of hard for them to buy the things that you've got on sale.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, if you make it difficult for people, you're really turning them away. You're saying, hey, you know what? We don't want your money. Go somewhere else. So I know a good friend of yours and a really good friend of mine, Mr. Z. We ended up trying to get into a joint venture with an individual that we told them, when we approached him about uh, the access problems they had for people with who were differently abled. I know that the guy said, well, we don't need to put a wheelchair ramp up on our website. First off, I found that very, very insulting. And, I don't like being called stupid ever. And that was just basically this guy telling me I was an idiot. Um, what are some of the things that you coach people on and tell people that they need to do, and none of it has to do with a wheelchair ramp on your website?
Well, certainly none of it has to do with the wheelchair ramp on your website. There and snark aside, it just goes to show you disability isn't. When people think of disability, they have, as it were, certain archetypes in their head. And the person who uses a wheelchair is one such archetype. And while we certainly do need to make our physical buildings accessible to people in a wheelchair, which goes far beyond wheelchair ramps, by the way, it is, especially in this day and age, it is equally important. And depending on the business you're in, I could argue that it's more important to have an accessible website. But to your question, Zach, I actually coach on 3 categories of accessibility. And I'll go through the categories. The first category is physical. Now, physical accessibility starts with the good old wheelchair ramp, right? That's what everybody's familiar with. That's what everybody knows. But I actually go beyond that. Once you get to the door, you need to be able to drive your wheelchair around the rest of the place. I actually used a restaurant theme in my accessibility basics course, so that's what's in my head right now. So you actually need to be able to drive around the restaurant, actually roll your chair comfortably up to the table. You need to actually get to the accessible bathroom that was installed per the ADA in the restaurant. So there's so much more to it than that. And then it goes into things like, everyday objects and how we organize things. I gave an example of an Airbnb I stayed at recently. The coffee pot was wedged so far under the cabinet that I had to move it out and, practically had it sitting on the edge of the sink. I mean, the thing was in danger of falling to its death every time I made coffee. You can't always fix those things because the structure of your building is what it is, but you do want to be mindful of them. And then we move into sensory things. I'll give you a perfect example: loud music. As a person who is hard of hearing, I don't know why venues insist on playing music that is so loud that the quality is distorted, but it is literally a painful experience if you sit in it too long. You're going to turn more customers away by loud music than by poor service.
Flashing lights.
Oh, thank you. Flashing lights. Absolutely. So there's, and I talk about food allergies and how to organize things so that people with food allergies can partake as well and can know what's safe to eat and what isn't. There is so much more to physical accessibility than just a good old wheelchair ramp. And then the second category is digital accessibility. Now that's the website. It starts with the website, and we go into accessible content, making text accessible so that people can read it, labeling images so that screen readers can know what they are. We go into accessible social media, how to make your social media presence accessible. Giphies and all the other fancy things that people use nowadays don't mean anything to a blind person, because they're just images. There's oftentimes there's no description, so we just scroll on by. Advertising. The vast majority of advertisements that I come across on the web, I don't know what's being advertised. Even if I did pay attention, I still wouldn't know what was being advertised. But it all starts with accessible content. If you don't know how to create accessible content, you're going to struggle with everything else. Now, the final category is cultural accessibility. Go
Can
ahead.
I ask you a real quick question about before we get to the cultural? Can I ask you a real quick question to give us an example of a commercial that's not hitting the spot? And I know that I don't want to bring up the company or anything like that, but can you give us an example of a poorly put together commercial that?
I don't even have to name the company. Anything that is, you've heard of like DoubleClick. There's an advertising agency thing called DoubleClick, and apparently you can buy online ads, and the link text, the link that you click on is labeled something like ads by DoubleClick. I have no idea what the ad is.
Very okay.
I have no clue what I'm seeing.
Does that have to go, or is that the same with like Bitly? And should there be I mean, there has to be, if you're using a Bitly, you have to be very specific on what that link goes to, right?
What the link goes to, but more importantly, the link text. So the link text is the text you read when you click on the link.
Okay. Because I know that LinkedIn has a bad habit of shortening your links, and when you take and you copy and paste a link, it goes to a LinkedIn type Bitly link. Is there a problem with those?
I'd have to look at a specific example. There can be, if the URL isn't self-explanatory. The ideal situation would be to add link text to that link.
Okay.
And I'm almost positive that can be done on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And then it still opens up into the LinkedIn summary thing. I'm not personally, I wish it would just click into the article, but
right.
They didn't ask my opinion.
So now this next one that you're going to get to is one that I was going to bring up, because I hear all the time people talking about, why should I have to click anything to hear in English? Well, because people have to click to hear in Spanish. So cultural.
So let me clarify something. Cultural accessibility isn't about language or ethnic culture. Cultural accessibility is about organizational culture. So what is your company like for the people that work there? How are people who are a little bit different treated? So the premise of cultural accessibility is difference is ordinary. So when a blind person comes in, are they treated like and served as you would with good customer service, as you would every other customer? Do people freak out because they might, run into something or fall or some other thing that people think blind people are going to do? Do they ignore the blind person because it's just too darn awkward? Or is it perfectly ordinary that that blind person came into your store? What you're aiming for is a combination of helpfulness and nonchalance. And we go into a number of aspects of cultural accessibility. We go into accessible meetings. How do you have meetings that are accessible to everybody? We talk about captions. We talk about keeping meetings goal directed, that sort of thing. Then we get into coworker relations, and the reason we get into coworker relations is because eventually we get into the point of promotion to leadership within your organization. So if you have an employee with a disability and you're considering them for leadership, take disability out of the equation. Look at their strengths, look at their skills, look at what they bring to the table.
Yeah.
And you can only do that if you start with coworker relationships based on respect and reciprocity.
Have you ever found that companies will take and they will promote someone with disabilities to a new thing like maybe disability liaison or something like that? And is that not one of the most insulting things there are? I mean, I would, and let me ask you this, as an alternative, I would take, and if we had employees with that had disabilities, I would put them together in a meeting and ask them, "Hey guys, what do we need to do here?"
Exactly. And
what are why would you take and promote one to something that you just made up when you can really get them all together and make sure that they're all having an input?
So the question is, why do you need a disability liaison position? Are you trying to check a box, or do you truly believe that the culture will be enhanced by having somebody who can liaise between the employees with disabilities and the ones without disabilities? If you think this is going to truly benefit your company, who better to be the disability liaison than somebody with a disability, if they A, want to do it, and B, are qualified for it. It's like every other position. You have to make sure that they're the right fit for the position, otherwise it's not going to work. And that's not because they have a disability. That's because they were in the wrong position to begin with.
Okay, that makes sense. Why did you start Real Life Access? And I know this seems like a very apparent question, but I want to hear it from you. What was the key moment in life when you were like, you know what, this has got to change, I'm doing something about it?
I don't think there was well, maybe there was that eureka moment, but it's not necessarily what you think. So I grew up. I've been totally blind all my life. I've used a screen reader all my life, and when things are accessible, I can do things as well as a sighted person can do them. And because I am tech savvy, I can usually do them better because I'm good with technology. But when things are not accessible, that is more disabling than my disability. Because then I have to I have to find help doing it, or I have to do something in another way. And it just throws a monkey wrench into the process. And it is beyond belief frustrating when I'm kept from doing something by an inaccessible component that I know can be made accessible. But I wanted to be part of the solution. I found early in life that complaining to customer service about lack of accessibility doesn't really help. First of all, they probably don't know what they probably don't know what accessibility is, and second of all, they don't know who to escalate the problem to, and third of all, it's one of many problems that they need to escalate. So I wanted to be part of the solution. I wanted to actually talk to decision makers about accessibility, talk to web developers about creating accessible components, talk to designers about accessible design. But it didn't really click for me until I got a job working for a contractor that works on the VA website, Department of Veterans Affairs. And I started working with these designers and developers who had varying knowledges. Oh boy, it truly is early. Varying degrees of knowledge of accessibility. And it hit me. The vast majority of these folks want to do the right thing. They want to make things accessible. And that I think that goes for a lot of people. People want to make things accessible. They just don't know how. And in some cases, accessibility hasn't even crossed their mind because maybe they haven't met somebody with a disability yet. We see things through the lens of our own experience. People want to do the right thing, but they not only don't know what the right thing is, but oftentimes they don't know that there is a right thing to do. So this is not a problem of people discriminating against people with disabilities. Nobody is out to get the blind person, for heaven's sake. They just don't know. It's an education problem. And I wanted to be part of the solution to that problem. I didn't want to be the angry blind person that yells at your customer service department all the time. I want to be the teacher. I want to be the coach. I want to show you how it's done.
Right. And aren't we perfectly timed on this because July is accessibility disability accessibility month?
It is?
I believe it is. I believe somebody I heard that. Or do I have that wrong?
I think everything is everything month. It's gotten so confusing. Every day should be Accessibility Awareness Day.
I agree with you there.
Not because we have all these events and things, but every day we should be mindful of the need for accessibility. Every day I should be mindful of the need for accessibility. I'll tell you what I did last week. I was turning in a report for my day job, a draft report. It wasn't a finished thing. But I was so fixated on the content that I forgot to format it. So I emailed my sighted boss this big blob of text, and she's like, "This isn't accessible to sighted people." So every day we all need to look beyond the lens of our own experience and be mindful that other people don't see the world the way that we do. My boss doesn't see the world the way that I do. She sees the world visually. I see the world audibly.
Right. And actually, let's see, Disability Awareness Day is July 14th. American Disabilities Act 34th anniversary is July 26th. So it was 34 years ago that Bush signed it into the Disabilities Act into action. I knew that there was something to do with it. So.
You know, I did have a vague awareness that there was some sort of big event. I always thought October was Disability Awareness Month, but I guess it's July now. I don't know.
Yeah, you know,
I don't know.
global accessibility is in May. So, but yeah,
So
like you said, it's
so I want to talk to you in December and January.
yeah.
I also want to talk to you in July,
then
May,
we have
October. Well, and here's why. And here's why. I want to talk to you 365 days a year. No day or month any more so than the others. And here's why. These events are emotional. We have our Disability Accessibility Awareness Month. Everybody feels good. Maybe some token gestures are made, and then it's forgotten about. Accessibility is achieved through actionable common sense solutions.
Yeah.
And those don't have a special day or month.
I said something very similar when I was doing the 22-hour podcast for veteran mental health and veteran suicide. But then I walked away 3 days after I did that in 2023, and I was like, wait a minute. I'm going to talk about this for one day, and then we're not going to talk about it again for another year. And that's the reason why we started Footprints Forward, was because
absolutely.
And here, I'll break the ice. This is bullshit. I shouldn't just talk about this. I shouldn't just talk about this once a year. I should talk about it all the time. And so we created Footprints Forward.
100% correct. And here's what happens on Global Accessibility Awareness Day. That's the one that happened sometime in May.
Right.
Your social media, your LinkedIn posts got saturated with advocacy type posts on accessibility. That doesn't help you if you already know you need to be accessible, but you don't know how. It doesn't convince you if you're looking at the 100th don't discriminate against this post. That's just going to turn you off to our message.
Yeah. Yep. And
it riles me up that we've gotten. Advocacy is necessary, especially when it comes to government agencies and government services. But what businesses need is solutions.
Yep. It's easy to find these solutions as well. There are people out there working with you right now. Are you able to speak on what you and Z and Trevor are doing?
Well, we've got a whole nother venture going. I talk about coaching and consulting because that's specifically a real life access thing. But we also do website auditing and remediation. So if you know that your website has accessibility trouble, you can come to us and we will audit your website both for basic compliance, just to make sure that you don't get in trouble with the law, and what I like to call my customer journey audit. I put myself in the shoes of the customer and I take my keyboard and my screen reader and I go through your site and I'll give you a comprehensive report of all of the things that I find and actionable solutions. Now, what we can also do, and this is where Mr. Z comes in, he's got a lot more patience and diligence and tenacity for this than I do. He'll actually go into the code of your website, figure out what's wrong, and remediate the problem for you if that's what you want.
He is so even keeled. It's hard to tell if he's even alive sometimes. That guy.
Oh, Mr. Z, yeah, and he's definitely an implementer, and thank God, because yeah, I my patience for sitting down and I can do it. It's one thing to be able to do something, to have the capability of eventually figuring out and getting it done, but it's another to be a master at it. And since I've teamed up with Mr. Z, I now have a master remediator on my side.
Yeah. Well, when we first started talking and I found out that you were teamed up with two of our other partners, it just made me, it just made getting you in with us, it made it that much more important. So, and you three working together, I think is such a beautiful thing. I just want to kind of show this real quick. One of the easiest things that you can do is talk to your website designer, or you can call one of ours, of course. And this little button right down here, it lets people put your website where they need it to be. Okay. It lets people with disabilities take and visit your website no matter what. Well, I'm not going to say no matter what. There's always going to be something that falls through that we need to work on.
Yeah, you're talking about Trevor's accessibility plugin.
Actually, yeah, this is one of Z's, but yeah, accessible by userway.org. But yeah, my website was built by Z, and he's got the little button on the bottom. So, but you can change the contrast, highlight the links, text spacing, pause animations, dyslexia friendly, saturation, line height. It can read it for you. And these are just some of the things that, like we've been talking about, why you would not have a storefront with no doors. Why
Well,
have
and
a
let me
website other people can't go to?
yeah, and let me speak to those plugins, because that particular plugin is an excellent add-on to a website that is already coded for accessibility. Because what that website will do is that plugin will do, excuse me, is that plugin will allow people, say, with low vision and, like you say, dyslexia, to customize the website to benefit them specifically. Visual accessibility is a very complex thing, because no two people have the same needs. So you can't design a website and meet everybody's visual needs, and that's where those plugins come in. They take it to the next level. They don't remediate code for accessibility. So if your forms aren't labeled properly, they're still not going to be labeled properly. But what they do is they enhance the visual experience. So it's really an accessibility enhancement plugin that I recommend you build onto your website that is already accessible.
Yeah. Well, like my eyes were open to it when I met Z and when I met Trevor. My eyes were open to this need for it, because it is something that, when you're excited, you're starting your business, you're getting in there, you're building your website. It's something that's easy to overlook unless you have to deal with the different ability every day. It's easy to overlook until you realize, wait a minute, what am I doing here? I'm blocking out a huge part of my base, my potential base. So,
Well, and here's the thing. When you're building your business, especially if you're not a web developer, you might throw together a website using something like Wix.
yep.
And it is understandable that you would trust Wix to provide an accessible experience, because that's what they're the website people. That's what they do. Many, if not most, of those quickie website builder platforms do not code their stuff for accessibility.
Why is that? Why did they not? I other than time and money, in which I know that that's the answer for everything pretty much. But why don't they understand that? And I know that they also offer some of this for an additional fee, but it's behind the times. I know it's so far behind what technology is. Why are they not stepping up and doing things to not? I just see it as, look, you may not want that to be what you look better on, but by God, you should, because again, this is offering something that is needed for customers.
Well, and there's two things. Well, actually, three things going on there. One, they probably don't know. They're probably ignorant. Two, business owners don't know, so they're not insisting on accessibility. They're paying for something and not insisting that that something provide an accessible experience, simply because they don't know. They assume it does. I assume that when I go to McDonald's, I get a hamburger. I assume that when I deal with the website people, I get a good website. But you can't assume that. Third, when it comes to the ADA, business owners are liable for an inaccessible website, but the third-party platform upon which the website is built is not liable.
No.
That's wrong. It stinks. I wish it would change. There's efforts, I know, in California to make it change, efforts that I'm going to join in on, because it just sucks that naive, innocent mom and pop businesses are getting in trouble when the third party company whose job it is to create the code that builds the website gets off scot-free. I mean, if we're going to have an ADA which allows people to sue people, we should be able to, the right people should be sued.
So that's a really, really good point. The other thing is that I think that there should be some accountability to where that money goes. That is one. There's a lot of money hungry lawyers that are getting a lot.
Oh yes, I call them shark lawyers.
That are padding their pockets in the name of the rights of the people who are disabled. Hey, Angela, I want to thank you and I want to welcome you to the family. I love the fact that we've got you and Real Life Access as part of our program, to where we can try to help other people. How do people get a hold of you, Angela?
Well, you can check out my website at www.reallifeaccess.com. There is a contact form there. You can subscribe to my newsletter. You can also email me at Angela, Angela, at reallifeaccess.com. You can also check me out on LinkedIn. If you search for Angela Fowler, you're going to get like 95 million of us. So search for Angela Fowler, A11Y. That's A11Y. It's sort of a shorthand for accessibility. Because, we don't use words anymore. We use shorthand speak.
1010010010.
Yeah, it's almost that bad. There are, we have become we've become such a shorthand, abbreviated, acronymically insane society that we don't understand each other anymore. That's another Angela rant. My goodness.
Yeah. We're touching on nerves here today on
This is gonna be a
community
this is
impact.
gonna be a fun podcast series.
Yes.
You know, I'll just have Zach ask me a question every week that causes me to get ticked off about something, and you'll be thoroughly entertained.
I'll be your Monday morning call, and that way I can ask you something. I'll get you revved up for the week. You know?
just get me fired up for the week, right?
You know, so, but anyway, again, you can get a hold of Angela at www.reallifeaccess.com. That's reallifeaccess.com. You can also email her at angela@reallifeaccess.com. Angela@reallifeaccess.com. You can also find her page on communitypayitforward.com. Just type in Real Life Access into the search bar. It'll take you right to her page. You'll find all of her social links and everything you need there as well. Angela, again, I want to thank you, welcome you to the family, and let's get to work and help some people.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to talking to all of you and really coaching you through the journey to make your business accessible.
And again, folks, this is so important because why would you leave a portion of 500 million, right?
That's a lot of money, folks. 500 billion with a B.
A billion. And why the hell would you leave that on the table? Some of that's your money, as long as they can find you.
And that doesn't count the 65 and older crowd.
Yeah. So, and hey, look, shopping's done online now. You need to remember that as well. You know, COVID has really made this an online world. It's become a lot easier for people if they can access your website. So thank you, Angela. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Great to introduce another brand new family member, Sixu Chen. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Had a great 4th of July, so ready to roll and get to work again.
So as people can see beside you, you don't do a whole lot, right? I mean, your plate is wide open. You don't have much business going on. No, you've just got 3 businesses that you're involved with.
Yeah, just 3.
So, what are you just that interested in being in different kinds of businesses? Is every single one of them just a fulfillment of something you enjoy? Why do you have your hands on so many different types of things?
I think it is what brings fulfillment to me in all different areas. For example, you can see on the top one, Beth Bloom Designs. Um, Beth Bloom is a dear friend of mine, and I love working with her. She opened her own interior design firm, design restaurants, nightclub, and bars, and food and beverage areas. And we really work well as a team. We have a team of talented designers, and design has been my passion. I graduated with interior design degree, and I have 13 plus years experience, and I don't want to give it up. But working in corporate America before, it was just burned out, and I wasn't really able to really utilize my talent because you have to listen to the upper hand. But designing with your best friend, it's a different experience, and I love it, and it's fulfills my creative desire. Like it is my creative outlet. It's like transform spaces. Like I'm all about transformation. So that business is transform spaces, and my own business, SCcoaching Group, is transform lives. So.
And when you say transforming lives, you're trying to come at this to where you are incorporating all points of life, work, relationship. You want to make sure that you're talking about an entire person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many areas in our lives, and I am focusing more on helping them with the profession and personal in terms of career and relationship. So I help individuals that struggling with dissatisfaction about their job, they do not like their job. So I take them through a self-discovery process so they can get clear on their talent, skills, passion, and value to find a job where they can finally be able to be their most authentic self, be able to reach their potential, and most importantly, more self-expressed. Like the reason I'm doing three things because I have different talents, I have different interests, and if I only focus on one, the other one are being left behind and ignored. And this is why I coach people. Just like we want to discover all your talents and make sure we can utilize them to bring fulfillment in your life. So after the self-discovery process, they are going to create a unique career path for themselves. For example, I had a client who was a nurse, but he felt burned out and he was like, well, I love doing nursing things, but it's like, I don't see myself doing this kind of until retire. I feel like this is not going to be sustainable. So after we did the self-discovery process, he had an interest in real estate. So now he's thinking to combine his nursing background with real estate and actually become a developer for senior homes. You see how beautiful that
Yeah.
combination is?
Yeah, absolutely. Burnout is caused by what? In with what you see, what is burnout usually? What's the first step of burnout? Is it just accepting a job that you're just not right for, or is it just an overload?
I think there's so many different factors come to burnout. One could be that the job is way too challenging for your skills. It doesn't mean that you are not good enough. It doesn't mean you're, less than. It just means that this job is not right for you, and your skills should be utilized for somewhere else. And another thing for burnout is just overworked. Like, I used to work 80 hours a week. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not a machine. Like I need rest. And when you work that much, it is a burnout. Like your body literally get burned out, right? And another thing also is emotional stress. Like if you are unhappy, you don't want to go to work, but you drag yourself to all that energy you spend in the back of your head to get yourself up and going. That's a lot of energy. That will burn you out too. So
And that last one there, the stress, that could also have a lot to do with your relationship at home, could it not?
absolutely. That's why I want to help people in the both area because I feel like if you are unhappy with your job, more or less you're gonna lash out at your partner when you go home, or at least not gonna bring your best self to spend time with your partner because you're not happy inside, and it's hard to pretend and put a smile on your face and have a good time, right? So it's very important that the fulfillment comes from you and comes from that you doing what you love. that you like having such a good day at work and come back and share the good news with your partner, and you guys grow together and being supportive with each other.
What is the most important thing that we do for ourselves to make sure that we maintain in a positive mindset? Because look, no matter what's going on, we control our own well-being, but what's something that we all need to do to maintain to start our day and make sure that we're in a good mindset?
You mean what we should do, or
Yes.
what's
Yeah.
important? Well, I think the number one thing that came to mind is integrity. Like we should absolutely be 100% honest with ourselves at all time. If you don't like something, say you don't like something, and don't say that you do, because then you are having an internal and external incongruency. So that will cause all kinds of trouble through your health, relationship, or manifested through the people you attract. Like, it's a chain reaction. So step number one is to have the integrity intact. So the famous book, The Way of Integrity by Martha Beck, she said that our final home, well, it sounds like a final home as if like it's not. So it's like our true home is peace. And to get there is through the way of integrity. And I 100% agree. I think you are the one feeling your own feelings. And if you're not having integrity, then you will feel the internal struggle, stress, conflict, all the negative emotions. But as soon as you got 100% honest and clear out all the confusion and anything that gets in the way, you'll feel a sense of peace. And that sense of peace will attract peaceful situations.
How often do people, you mentioned that you that you were working 8 hours a week. How many people take and overload themselves at work to run away from home life? And I ask this because you know what? That's exactly what I was doing prior to my motorcycle accident. I was working 70 hours a week to stay away from home. And
Wow.
and I was just thinking to myself, Sixu, that I should have met you about 10 years ago. I because because that's when I was working for someone else and having all kinds of issues. But do people stay at work and work themselves into into problems because they're trying to run away from things?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not trying to be a psychologist here, but it's very common people use work to distract themselves from feeling emotions. That's why people become workaholic, because they don't know. I mean, they are gonna feel negative emotions or pain, or have to deal with the uncomfortable emotion they don't want to deal with if they stop being busy. So they have to constantly stay busy so they don't think about the emotion. But the emotion never goes away; it just gets suppressed, and they just get more and more unhappy. And it's almost just like the sand in the water. The water is never gonna get clear until you take the sand out. And you can't pretend it's not there. It's always gonna be there. Yeah.
What was the thing that turned you from interior design into coaching? What was the moment?
That's a great question. Well, chronologically speaking, in terms of timeline, it's the pandemic. And I'm sure the pandemic shifted many people's life. But even before the pandemic, I was evaluating my life in terms of, do I want to just do this for another 5, 10 years? And I was working at a smaller interior design firm and seeing my boss owning the firm, but being stressed, and her herself have to work until 9, 10 p.m. every day. And I'm just like the best I could do is owning my own firm eventually. Do I want to? And I realized I don't want that kind of lifestyle. I want more freedom in terms of I don't want to work that much and make work becoming my life. So, and also I feel lucky that I got laid off. That forces me to rethink what I want to do next, because after that many years of burnout, you really do not want to do another interview to just get into the same burnout. You know what I mean? Like I have such a resistance to put my resume together and go to more interviews for the similar type of job, because what people tend to do is, it's the same resume that gets you this previous job, you're going to get another job just like that. And I just didn't want to do that. So I went through a soul searching journey and really asked myself what else I can be doing, what is really making me, what really could be the reason to get me off bed. And then I realized I want to help people. And if somebody needs my help, that will really get me off the bed in a second. And then look into how that looked like. I actually thought about becoming a therapist and counselor and social worker and all that. But then I realized coaching has all the other kind of factors that I'm looking for.
You had the ambition to start this, but how careful did you have to be that you went from putting everything into 80 hours a week, working your butt off? How careful did you have to be that you didn't just go on ahead and say, you know what, nope, I can't do this. I got to go back to doing the 80-hour thing. I'm just going to slip back into what I know and to heck with everything else. How careful did you have to be? And how often do people fall into that trap that, I want to do this, but I need to get back to the grind?
Well, it's that emotional security, like it's security comfort zone versus taking a risk, taking leap of faith, facing the unknown, right? And for me, I just know the past was absolutely what I do not want. I do not know what the future holds, but I'm definitely not going back. And that was clear for me.
Yeah. Mm. I joke about this all the time. I tell people this all the time, that one of the first things that I thought of, and this is going back to where you said that, I thought about doing my own firm, but then I decided, no, that's not for me. I had my own transformation right there, because my first thought was, I enjoy being part of creating events. So I'll get into being an event planner. But then I had that instantaneous thought in my head, oh, no, 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 no. I don't like people enough to try to plan events for them. Getting into that high level stress area with people, that just wasn't going to work with me. I mean, having that much wound up stress between two people probably wouldn't have been a good idea. So how how much do you try to convince people to take a second look and make sure that this is what they want to do? Because we are a species that springs to action a lot of times without giving it much thought.
It's because we're in survival mode. I
Okay.
try to convince people that once you have the self-confidence, you know who you are. I mean, my whole journey that I take people through is the self-discovery the self-discovery process to help them understand themselves so they know who they are. And at that point, they have more self-confidence, because the reason people are not confident is not just because they don't have confidence, because they don't even have clarity. They are in the confusion mode, so they can be easily swayed in any direction as the wind blows. Somebody say, hey, this could be good for you. They're like, oh, maybe they're right. And they'll be like, oh, this makes so much money for this person, you should try it. It's like, oh, I should. Like, you just get swing into places and you don't trust any of them because they're not coming from you. So it's still so important that we make decisions that come from our knowing, our intuition, and backed by the evidence of us knowing ourselves. And I had that clarity. I know that I want to help people. I know that I want to make direct impact in others' life. I've been doing that kind of to family and friends all my life. And I realized that this is something I naturally are good at. Like it's something that comes naturally. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm, you got too many people who sit there and they listen to what other people say, and they fall off their dream train.
Oh yeah.
It's like, well, that's a ridiculous thing. Why would you do that? And uh there's a there's a book that I'm reading or listening to. I'm sorry, I don't read. I listen to books, but it's a book about starting something stupid, because there are so many things, so many or businesses out there that they were told this is stupid. Amazon, Jeff Bezos was told this is stupid. Who's going to shop from home?
Everyone no.
Apparently. So it we need to realize that, you know what, just because somebody else doesn't understand it, that a lot of times that could be because they don't see the concept like you do. I mean, hell, the trying something that nobody else has ever done is not easy. If it was easy, somebody else would have done it, right?
Exactly. Yes. And this is what I keep telling people. You are the only you that have ever existed, and you're the only you that ever gonna be. There's no other exact you somewhere living some other life that you'd be like, ah, that's my reference. Let me just copy that. I'll be, having a great life. No, you live your own life and there's no reference. That's why it's like my people say, oh my God, I feel so behind. No, nobody's behind because you're not following anybody. Like you have your own path. You are the lead. Like you are always number one on your own path. Nobody behind, nobody ahead. It's just you. Maybe somebody is doing parallel paths, but in terms of your unique path that looks exactly like yours, this is one and only. So find that. It'll be fine.
That is that's such great advice. Tell me about the Great Discovery.
Oh, that I just encountered it this year because they launched March 2024. I feel very blessed and fortunate to be part of it. An artist named Dave Odds introduced it to me. And when he introduced to me, he said if I could create an art lesson and people from Africa will pay only $2 to learn it, I am in. Like my education is now actually accessible and affordable. So, which really touched me too, which is like, wow, there's something like that to allow knowledge to finally be accessible and affordable. And what the Great Discovery does is basically have all the above that I just mentioned. It has the AI translation technology, which will translate your knowledge into 100+ languages, so the language barrier disappears, and then it matches the price to the local economy. So there's no more, oh, I can't afford a first country education thing anymore. You are in a third world country, no problem. We're gonna match the price to what you can afford, and you can afford um, the education US without being in a US school. Isn't that amazing? And also, it's a community, it's a marketplace, it's a affiliate marketplace. It encourages people to share and then earn while they share, rather than just giving the resource away and nothing comes back to you. Once you share, you get commission, you get passive income, and for me, it's like I've been looking for a stream of passive income, and there's a lot of opportunity out there. If like a drop shipping to like MLM selling products and stuff, but that takes me away from my business. And
Mm.
the Great Discovery doesn't take me away from my business. In fact, it enhances my business. It supports my business. I am selling my courses on the Great Discovery. I am allowing my client to assess my knowledge through the great discovery, right? Like I'm not going away from my business. This is a platform, a tool that I can use to expand my business, to grow my business. So, I mean, I just feel so fortunate to be part of it.
See, that is so neat because one of the things that I do to relax, and I don't do very many things to relax. I love work. I love doing what, you and I are doing together. I love doing this. This is meaningful and relaxing to me. But one of the things that I absolutely love to do, and I do it throughout the day, all day long, is learn about history. And that really brings to the way that I ask you about your history. What, I really think that learning about people's history and learning about the past is such a great way to relive or to live our future. And so I think having something like that and sharing knowledge with other people, that's so important, because there's something in everyone's story. Everyone has that one piece of their story that can change someone's life for the positive. Because you are right that every single one of us, there's only one of us, there's only ever going to be one of us. But every single one of us comes up to a point in time where there's a problem that if we see it from somebody else's view, it could help us get around that problem. And I believe in conversation, that being one of the most important things about conversation and learning. So I'm excited to learn more with you about the great discovery. So, uh, Sixu, did you have anything else that you wanted to tell people before we cut this short?
Sure. I mean, to wrap up the great discovery, Dr. Harris, one of the team leader, he said something it really struck with me. He said, instead of doing entertainment like Netflix, just let your kind of mind cruise and kind of you are almost in like a half sleeping mode when you watch those, do edutainment. Like there's so many good content on the great discovery that help you gain knowledge. I have a client come to me because they want to change their job. It's just for the past 5 years, they see no growth, just doing the same thing. There's no new knowledge being gained. There's no growth happening. But if you go to the great discovery, just search any subject matter, psychology, business, cooking, music, art, like anything that you want to learn, there's going to be information content for you to learn. So on your spare time, instead of just watching a show, you could just learn something, and it's entertaining because it's a video form, and it's interactive, and it's a fun experience. So
I think
that's what
it's a
I'll say about the great discovery. But in terms of my coaching, I just want to tell people that I am here to support people find the job that aligns with who they are. I keep telling people, if you do not like your job, guess what? You're not doing your job. That's someone else's job. You're taking a spot that someone could love. And you are like miserable here. Like just get out of that spot, leave it open to someone else who is gonna love, and find something you're gonna love. And everybody's gonna be happy, right?
See, it's amazing listening to you now and remembering who I was, because I did every day, every day, Monday through Friday. I I repeated the words, "I hate my effing job,"
Oh my God.
every day for 8 years. But I was there, and I had put in 70 hours before noon on Friday. I mean,
Wow.
I was working from Monday morning until noon on Friday, and I would have 70 hours. And then I would immediately jump on my motorcycle, and I would be gone doing fundraising stuff and just always trying to stay busy, because I was trying to forget problems instead of deal with problems. And I
Right.
realize this now, you know. Um, I mean, life for me has gotten a lot better. I'm with the right person now, and I don't drink hardly anymore. God, I had a beer the other night, Sixu, and I felt like, ooh. It was kind of funny. It was like, wait a minute, that was like one small beer, and I was like, oh boy, this is not right.
Yes.
So, but it is, and a lot of that has to do with the clarity of knowing what I want, knowing where I want to be, and really working hard to get there and be there. And my thing is, I want to work with people like yourself to help other people. And I think that when we do this, it just benefits the world. So
Thank you. And I really appreciate what you do too, that you pay it forward. I really appreciate that it creates a positive ripple effect, and I want to be part of it for sure.
we are very, very glad to have you. People can find you where?
They can find me on SCcoachinggroup.life. That's my website for career and relationship coaching. They can find me on LinkedIn just by my name, Sixu Chen. I think there's not a lot of me with that name on there, or on Facebook. I am very friendly with people's friend request. I sometimes share valuable information. People want to be friends on Facebook or reach me on LinkedIn. I'm usually welcome that, and then we can start talking. And if it makes sense to get on a call, I'm always happy to get on a call with people. So if someone who are listening now are struggling with either career or relationship or unsatisfied, you don't have to be. Let's talk, and I want you to feel more fulfillment starting tomorrow.
I love it. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate what you're doing. And I am really looking forward to working with you for a long time. You can also contact her at info at c at SCcoaching.group.life. That's info at SCcoaching.group.life.
Yes, that's the email that you can
Yeah.
use to send me.
So, and then you can get a hold of all of her social media links, her email address, all of that stuff by going to communitypayitforward.us, and you can find her under family needs. So, Sixu, I want to thank you so very much for taking the time to talk to us today. I greatly appreciate this, and I invite you to please your post that where you're sharing information, please share them with our family. Let's make sure that people see you and your genius, and let's help as many as we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And the last thing I want to mention is that I'm also LGBTQ friendly. I have supported transgender and lesbian, gay, doesn't matter. It's just who you are. I went to Pride myself, and I want to encourage people to be unapologetically themselves.
You know what? I want to say this, and I'm not bringing the politics into this, but I do want to say this. The other night, I heard Joe Biden talk about the first time that he saw two men being affectionate with each other. And he looked at his dad and he said, and he kind of was taken aback. And he looked at his dad, and his dad said simply, they love each other. It's all we need.
We're all souls, and we're just having different expression in our physical body. It's that connection that we feel with each other that draws we towards each other. It's that love energy. Absolutely.
Look, we're all a little alien to each other. We don't have to understand each other completely. And that's a good thing that we don't have to understand each other completely. But we need to remember that everyone's allowed to be themselves, because if they're not themselves, they're not being true. And
Exactly.
they're never going to be happy if they have to live up to your expectations.
And everyone deserves the basic human desire is to be respected.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Sixu, thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Happy to be
Looking to make
here
a
with you.
difference with your shopping. Visit communitypayitforward.us. Select the mission or cause you want to support and scan the QR code. You have two options. Click the first link and browse our giving partners, or use the second link to tell us what you need, and we'll find the right partners for you. Shop with these partners and keep your receipt or invoice. Next, click a picture or simply upload a picture of your receipt to the portal in every form, adding your name and email address. Your purchase now turns into a donation to the mission you've chosen. Community Pay It Forward shares your business story with those in need of your services to rally support for those who need us all. I want to thank Sixu and I want to thank Angela. And what we have to do, StreamYard kind of restricts me on, I can't share videos that go over 2 hours. Okay. We're sitting at 1 hour and 20 minutes right now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to finish off these last 10 minutes by thanking our brand new sponsor, channel sponsor, Jill Schultz. You can get a hold of Jill on her website, which is jilleschultz.com. JillESchultz.com. You can also contact her at jill@jilleschultz.com. Her story of overcoming shame to a life of self-loving and abundance. Visit her website, once again, JillESchultz.com, and you will get a free Uncover the Shame and information on her course, Shed the Shame, Manifest the Magic. She was sexually assaulted as a child. No other way to... You can't powder coat that. You just can't do it. She's going to be joining us in the next couple days, and she's going to be a guest here very soon to tell us her story. But she's another example of what we love here. You just saw two lovely ladies who worked very hard to overcome things that happened bad in their lives and turn them into something amazing. Not only that, but they're working really hard to make sure that you can follow in their directions and continue what they do to be amazing. So I want to thank Jill, JillESchultz.com, for sponsoring the PACT channel. She is our first exclusively PACT channel sponsor. I want to thank her very much for coming on here and keeping us on the air at least for a couple months. So, which is fantastic. We get a couple more of those, and things might turn really good. I did want to mention this, that Angela and I are working with our really good friend Daniel from Pieces of Me. And we are going to put together a show with those two. If you remember back around February, we met Daniel. Daniel is also blind, and Pieces of Me is a wonderful, wonderful foundation that they're trying to help people who are disabled. So, but Daniel and Angela are going to be working on putting together a show. And one of the things that Angela and I want to do is we want to get together with Mr. Z and Trevor, bring them both on with us, and really talk about some of the things that they've got going. With theirs. We're also going to be working really close with Sixu on her program. When she started talking about that course she had, I got really excited. I truly do feel the day you stop learning is the day that you die, and you just should not stop learning. I do still have the Ciara Joy video that I have got to share with you because it is amazing. She is such a wonderful person, and she went through hell. There's no other way to say it. She went through a mental hell. She lost she lost a precious member of her family in her dog. Her grandmother was sick, and she mentions her grandmother. And she really went through a tough time. And she had an incident where she was feeling it came to a head. And you are going to be able to join me, and you're going to be able to watch that very soon. Matter of fact, at the bottom of the hour is when we're going to start her. We're gonna start her show. So, and it's going to be in the Footprints Forward series. So, I do invite you to join me here in about 4 minutes. At the bottom of the hour, just stay tuned. You're going to see the show come on, and you can meet the wonderful Ciara Joy. Ciara is a giving partner with our program, but she has somebody or she has a program that, she's really working to help others be themselves in business. So by being a virtual assistant, something that every single one of us needs is somebody to help us out. Because look, being in business and trying to do it all for yourself, it's not the greatest thing in the world to do. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your participation in this show. I want to once again welcome Jill E. Schultz to the PAC channel. Thank you very much for your sponsorship. Thank you, Angela Fowler at Real Life Access. And it's reallifeaccess.com, reallifeaccess.com. And you can get a hold of her at Angela at reallifeaccess.com. And then I also want to thank Sixu. Just both interviews were just so much fun. You can get a hold of Sixu at SCcoachinggroup.life, SCcoachinggroup.life, and email her at info@SCcoachinggroup.life. Thank you very much. Please remember, love somebody out there because somebody out here loves you. Please make sure that you always remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Folks, let's come together. Let's make this a better life by working together. Thank you very much. I'll see you in about 3 minutes.
Stepping out of her fear, bring me home. Out alone, show me the way. You wanna be a part of Sunset Boulevard.